Hello students, welcome to Legacy As Academy. In this particular video, we are going to discuss about how in the world that has become more and more chaotic after coming up of Donald Trump as 47th President of the United States, and how India's bilateral relationship with its neighbor has undergone significant changes, and also the new set of challenges that Indian diplomacy is expected to face in the Trump's era or Trump's world as such. So let us try to understand this in more detail. Now, also we are discussing about this particular topic because it was in the month of this particular June itself, last year, that is 2024, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi has taken charge for a third time as the Prime Minister of India as such. Now, during that time, Joe Biden was projected to be in very close race with Donald Trump for a second term in the White House. Many of the political scientists there have argued that Donald Trump do not stand any chance of winning the election because of severe allegations and accusations against him, and also because of the several cases that were running against him in different courts across the United States of America. But then we saw Joe Biden withdrew from the campaign, withdrew from the presidential race, and Kamala Harris then took charge as the leader of Democratic Party. And then I can see that everything changed in 1 year, and now White House is being led by Donald Trump as 47th president. Now, also if you look at the month of June 2024, if you look at India's relationship with the neighbors, for example, India's border standoff with China still was ongoing for 4 years almost. If we talk about Bangladesh, another very important neighbor of India, Sheikh Hasina was still at the helm of Bangladeshi government, and she was leading this government for at least 16 years. So there was a kind of a permanency in the bilateral relation between India and Bangladesh. There was an adequate or proper understanding that how both countries can help each other out, and how Bangladesh will ensure that it does not support and give refuge and shelter to those elements who can threaten the integrity and security of India as such. As far as Pakistan is concerned, obviously Imran Khan basically was replaced by another new coalition government led by Shahbaz Sharif, and at least since 2019 there had been no major attack by Pakistani sponsored terrorists on Indian soil as such. Now, just 1 year later, we are talking, or we are in the month of June 2025, and it seems that sea changes have taken place both from the perspective of India as well as from the global perspective. And this also is marked by return of Donald Trump, or Trump 2.0. And we try to understand, Trump has made not only returned, but he had made a phenomenal political comeback or political return, we can say, where both houses of the Congress, whether it is the House of Representative or Senate, is being controlled by the Republican Party, who Donald Trump is a leader of. Now, India and Chinese troops have disengaged from Ladakh, so there is a kind of positive development we can see as far as bilateral relationship between India and China is concerned. We are going to talk about this in detail further. The third changes that has happened is in Bangladesh, where Sheikh Hasina's regime and government has been ousted by a large scale protest led by political opposition and also the students of universities. So she, since August 2024, has taken refuge and political asylum in India as such. India has had a 4-day military confrontation. We have just seen it. And when Pakistan has launched a massive terror attack targeting civilian tourists in Pahalgam, as a response of which India launched Operation Sindoor, and that has created a war-like situation between both nations and such. Now, if we try to understand the coming up of Trump and what kind of policy he has heralded in the United States and the significance it has over India and Indian citizens and such. Now, we know that because of the tariff war, he has unleashed again all major economies of the world, including China, India, Brazil, Mexico, Canada. What we have seen is that India had to renegotiate its tariff policies, its trade policies with United States, and both countries are on the way to finalizing and signing a unique or new trade agreement as such. So obviously, because of his announcement of reciprocal tariff, it has created a kind of chaotic scenario in the global trade. It has disrupted the supply chain, and also it has brought many enemies and friends against each other, or what you can call as closer towards each other. Other development we see in US is because to appease his core voting base, who are largely anti-immigrant in stance, Donald Trump-led administration has decided to deport back all the illegal refugees and asylum seekers, and he also made a spectacle by shackling many of the migrants, including Indian migrants, carrying a military plane carrying them from US landed in the Amritsar, and that also was a very big development at that time. Then he also went on war with two major universities of US, Harvard University and Columbia University, where he has taken a strong stance against any kind of anti-Hamas, pro-Hamas protest as such, anti-Israeli protest as such, and also he has tried his best to ensure that these universities basically pay back for the support they have given to such kind of protesters. And even he has went on and announced that Harvard University will now no longer will be able to accommodate and admit foreign students in their campus. So this is a kind of situation that we have seen, scenarios that we have seen unfolding in the United States of America. And obviously in this context, you have to understand that New Delhi's diplomatic challenge in Washington has become much more complicated in terms of world as compared to earlier presidency. We know that both India and US have strengthened their partnership, bilateral partnership in almost all sectors, whether it is defense, whether it is energy sector, whether it is security, whether it is space basically we can say space exploration, science and technology. And also US hosts one of the highest Indian diaspora in its geographical territory as such. So this relationship has been in what we can call as upward trajectory since at least Bill Clinton's presidency, and after that it was continued in George Bush's presidency, further it continued in Obama's presidency, then in Trump 1.0, then again Joe Biden, and now in Trump 2.0, everything seems to be topsy-turvy as such. Now, as far as India-China relations is concerned, we have seen a positive development where both countries, after meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Premier of China Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the BRICS summit that took place in Kazan, Russia, they have decided to disengage from the Demchok and Depsang along the line of actual control in the Ladakh region as such. But again, this disengagement still has not taken its final form, because even today, if you look at the areas along line of actual control in Ladakh, over 50,000 troops are remain deployed on the icy heights. They are awaiting the next steps of de-escalation and de-induction as such. Not only both countries have decided to disengage, but also they have begun talk on resuming of the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. Mount Kailash, as you know, is a region in Tibet that is largely controlled by China, and it is revered by Hinduist, Buddhist, and Jainists, and the people who are followers of Jainism alike as such. So every year till 2020, Government of India through Ministry of External Affairs used to organize Kailash Mansarovar Yatra either through the Lipulekh Pass in the Uttarakhand or Nathula Pass in Sikkim. So after the special representative speech in Beijing, both countries have taken positive steps toward this development as well. Not only that, India and China have also agreed to resume direct flights between both countries. And also, favorable trade ties are something that is being talked about. Second development that has taken place, obviously, is in the eastern side of India, where Bangladesh is a major or was a major ally and a major geographical, we can say, major what you can call as neighbor as such. Now, in the month of August 2024, a large-scale protest, largely led by students and political opposition, has led to Sheikh Hasina being ousted from power, and she had risk on her life. That is why she fled and has since then taken refuge and political shelter in India. Obviously, Bangladeshi government currently, which is ruled by the interim government, which is being led by Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus. So they have requested India to extradite her back to face the justice for the allegations that they have made against her. But obviously, India has not complied, has not sent her back. And also, we are seeing that under the current regime, Bangladeshi government, we have seen more of pro-Pakistan and pro-China tilt, where it seems that Bangladesh is trying to gear and trying to head itself toward being in embrace or a strong embrace of both China and Pakistan. And a lot of anti-India stance and policies we have seen coming from the current government and current regime. For example, in the beginning itself, we have seen minorities, especially Hindu minorities, being targeted, their leaders being arrested on frivolous charges, and also government of Bangladesh has decided to put or apply additional tariff on the Indian products or Indian export to Bangladesh as such, and that in a tit for tat, India then has suspended transshipment facilities that used to provide to Bangladeshi traders so they can export materials to some third countries using the ports and airports of India as such. So since then we have seen a kind of overall downward decline in the Indo-Bangladesh bilateral relationship. Then comes Pakistan. On the western side again, due to the Pahalgam terror attack, largely orchestrated by Pakistani government military or ISI, we can say. The government of India took a major diplomatic retaliation, and it suspended, or basically we can say temporarily put Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. As per the Indus Water Treaty, river water from Indus, Jhelum and Chenab is to be shared with Pakistan. Complete control will be exercised by Pakistan, while Beas, Ravi, Satluj, its water can be used for consumptive purposes by India completely. So India has put Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. Not only that, as a military counter-strike, India then launched Operation Sindoor, then it's striking the terror bases and terrorist trading camps in the Pakistan. It has targeted 12 different sites, and then we see a kind of war-like situation emerging between India and Pakistan. So almost we can say 4 days, there was a continuous strike and counter-strike where Pakistan has targeted Indian territory using the Turkish drones as well as Chinese missiles also. Now, also interestingly, we can see the role of Trump here, because it was not Indian government, it was not the Pakistani government that announced about ceasefire first. Rather, Donald Trump was the first person who announced about ceasefire on his Truth Social. So the post we can see from here, and it was he who is trying largely to take credit of this entire ceasefire agreement. He is the one who has obviously reiterated his point, has backed his point completely, that it was because of his mediation, it was because of role played by United States, where he has threatened both India and Pakistan. They have agreed for a ceasefire. However, as we know that the government of India's stance is completely different. They have maintained the stance that it is because of the dominance of Indian armed forces is why Pakistan had to beg for a ceasefire. So that is the other situation. We can see that how Donald Trump had complicated this entire issue, and also it has put a strain on Indo-US ties as well. Now, by this entire discussion, one thing we have to understand is that in a world that has been made much more chaotic, whether you're talking about the economic partnership and economic relationship across the world, whether you're talking about the defense partnership, for example, US, who has been always a major NATO supporter and NATO allies, under Trump's presidency, it seems that they are not so much interested in basically caring about other countries who are members of NATO. Also, we can see his most of time he's trying to take a stance that is anti-European Union in nature. He also has basically waged a war, at least war of words, between US and Canada. Canada, who has been considered as the staunchest ally and supporter of United States. So basically, we can say that the overall global relations today have become much more strained and chaotic under Trump's turbulent presidency, and thus India continues to face challenges that is posed along its border, across its border, by growing proximity between Pakistan, China, and now even Bangladesh as such. So obviously, Pakistan, China, they themselves have referred many times as an all-weather friend, and it seems that Bangladesh is trying to join this club. So it seems that as far as India's border is concerned, now we have to pay much more closer attention, and we have to ensure that any furthering relationship, deepening ties between these three countries do not in any way threaten the security, unity and integrity of India as such. Also, one thing we have to understand from this entire war, though it is a short-term war, one biggest lesson that we have to learn is we cannot and should not be dependent on defense import on different countries, because obviously we have military relationship, or we can say defense based relationship with US, with France, with Russia, obviously, which is a traditional partner, and then further we are seeing a growing ties between India and Israel as far as the development and the co-development of drones and anti-air defense system is concerned as such. But one thing we have to understand, that we cannot be dependent on any other country. We have to be focused on indigenization, we have to focus on development and being self-reliant, at least in the defense sphere, military sphere, so that we do not have to worry about the relationship between different countries and how that will impact India's position to fight a war in future also, especially if China and Pakistan try to wage or assault two-front war as such, or wage a two-front war as such. So moving ahead, it seems that President Trump, President Xi Jinping from China, and General Asim Munir, because though we can consider the current situation in Pakistan is that it seems that the Pakistan is being led by civilian government with Shehbaz Sharif at its helm, actually it seems that it is General Asim Munir who is making all the major decisions. He is the one who actually holds the reign of Pakistani government. So both Xi Jinping, Asim Munir, and along with President Trump will test New Delhi's diplomatic skills and capacity, and how Indian diplomacy, Indian government navigate this water, uncharted water, we can say, in the turbulent times under President Trump. So this is all about this particular video. I hope you got the gist and what is the message that we have to receive from the entire development. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your aspirants, as well as subscribe to our channel for more such content. Thank you very much.